Now I explain to you the dynamic moving average. It's a very unique feature. You only find this feature in the Metagrid Trademanager. It's developed by me, and so it's a unique feature. This feature scans for the best MA setting and shows the most respected moving average for every pair and time frame. Let's go to a live chart. Lots of people are using moving averages. The problem with this is there are a lot of recommendations which MA you should use. Some people say the MA 100 is very good. Other people say do only use the MA 500. And I think MA which is used very often is the MA 200. Let's add such a moving average to our chart here. This is a chart without Metagrid at the moment. I only want to show you the moving average on a blank chart. You can see we have here indicators. If we add a moving average to it, let's do the 200 exponential MA to it. This is an MA which is very often used by many traders, and you can see, yes, this looks like a good MA. It was respected here, price bounced here, then again it bounced, and then the price was going higher here until now. So it looks like the MA 200 seems to be a good moving average to use. Let's look on the Euro USD. The same, and then you see, oh, the MA 200 looks not so good here. Yes, it was a little bit respected, but it wiggles here around, up and down, up and down. Then it seems that price was going down and now respects this MA 200, but suddenly it goes up again. Then it looks like here it will respect again the MA 200 and goes up, but then still it goes down. Then again here it cuts through the MA 200 without any resistance here, and then here was the first time the MA 200 was really respected. So on this pair, on the 1 hour time frame, the MA 200 looks not so good at all. And let's see, for example, if we use the Aussie Swissy, then you see the same picture here. Here in this case the MA 200 was not respected at all. The price cuts through, then it was going up again. It looks here like it wants to respect the MA 200, but still it does not. It does not know what it wants to do here. Then the first time the MA 200 was respected was then here. You can see this rejection here on the MA 200, and then the price was a little bit going down. And here it's a kind of respection too, that it was going up a little bit and then again it respected now the MA 200, but still it looks not that perfect in this case. And then you see the MA 200 to use every time the MA 200 for every pair and time frame looks not like a good idea. And this brought me to the idea to make this unique feature, the dynamic moving average. What this function does is that it scans your time frame and looks which MA was respected the most in the last hours or minutes. It depends on the time frame or even days, and then it prints this MA to your chart. Let's have a look at it. Now we are on a chart with the Metagrid Trademanager on it, and let's activate the dynamic moving average. For this we make with our mouse, right mouse click, we go to Expert Advisors and Properties, and then you find here a section for the dynamic moving average. You can see here you can turn this function on or off. At the moment it's at false, so this function is turned off. Here you can decide the color of the dynamic moving average, and here you can decide how thick the line for the moving average should appear on your chart. So let's turn the dynamic moving average function on. We double click here on it, and then we put it to true, and we click on OK, and then you can see we now have this blue line here. This is the dynamic moving average which Metagrid found, and Metagrid calculated that this moving average line here is the line which was respected the most for the last, in this case on the H4 time frame, so say for the last 3 or 4 days. And if we scroll back here, the chart, you can see indeed here the price came down to this moving average, and then here it bounced, and then from this moment on the price was going down and respected this moving average here. And if we go a little bit more back, you can see here came the price to our moving average. It bounced here 2 times, and then we had a big rejection here. It was a really nice support here on this in this case. Of course, if you now would scroll all the way back months or weeks, then this MA is not respected anymore, because Metagrid only shows you the MA which is at the moment the most respected. It does not give you an MA which works over years, because this is the thing with the dynamic moving average. This moving average changes from time to time. So if you maybe open this pair on this time frame 2 or 3 days later, you will get a different moving average, because Metagrid then scanned again the time frame and the pair, and then shows you for this day the most respected moving average. So you can say, if you use this function, you will get on your chart a moving average which you can use for this actual day. And if price, for example, now comes back to this moving average, you can wait what the candles will do. For example, like you saw it here, then if you get here a rejection, you see, yeah, price comes not over this blue line and gets rejected here, and then it begins to go down, then you can open a sell trade, for example. Or if in this case price comes all the way up and then jumps over this blue line, our dynamic moving average jumps here over, and then it gets respected here and price begins to go up, then we can go into a buy trade. This is very helpful. You don't have to calculate which is that moving average I should use. Metagrid does it for you. Let's look at some other pairs and which dynamic MA we will get here. For example, let's use the Aussie Kiwi. Let's use this here. And then you can see again we get here a blue line, our dynamic moving average, and you see here this MA was really respected. Here you can see price came down. It bounced here on this moving average, and from this moment on the price was going up here in this case. And if we scroll a little bit back, let's see here, you can see price jumped over our dynamic moving average. We had here no really bounce then again, but price and then stayed above our blue moving average. So price was going up and respected here again this blue line. It jumped over, and from this moment on we are in buy trades. For example, you could say then, okay, price is over my blue moving average, and then I wait here, it was going up, I wait for a little rejection here, or in this case retrace. So it retraced here a little bit, it was a little bit going down. Then you could make here a trend line, for example. This is very common usage of moving averages. Again, let's see, price jumped over our blue dynamic moving average. Then we wait for a retracement of the price. It began here to retrace. Then we can draw here this nice trend line. If it was broken, you can for this use, for example, the trend line function of Metagrid. It automatically opens a trade, for example, if such a trend line was broken. There's an own video for this. So if the trend line was broken, then we go into this buy trade and had a really nice trade here. Let's see how many pips this would have given. So until here we have over 200 pips for this trade, and this is really nice. Here we are on another pair, for example, and you can see it's an exotic pair, but still this moving average, this dynamic moving average gave a really interesting entry. You can see price came back to our moving average, a really big bounce here, and then we get here this nice up move. Again, you could, for example, here draw a trend line after this retracement where price retraced here, and you make here, for example, a trend line. And then because we're in an uptrend, you can see our price is above the dynamic moving average. If the price is above the moving average, then we look for buy trades. If it is below, we look for sell trades. And of course, if price comes to our blue line, then we wait if we get some sign of rejection. Like here, price came and a big rejection here of this blue line. If you were in front of your computer and you see this big rejection, you could jump here immediately into a buy trade, for example, or you wait for the retracement here. You make the trend line. If the trend line is clearly broken, then you jump here into this buy trade, for example. Again, a very nice trade. Here we are on the Aussie dollar, and you will think, where's my dynamic moving average? Sometimes the moving average has such a big number that you can't see it immediately on the chart. You have to make the chart a little bit smaller. And if I click here on the function, on the zoom function to make it a little bit smaller, if I zoom out, then you can see there is our dynamic moving average, but it has such a big number that it is far away from the price. If we scroll here back, let's see, you can see the dynamic moving average was suspected here. It bounced here and it gave here this down trade here. It was again here respected and bounced here. It bounced here. Then it jumped over and was rejected then and acted here as support. Here it was resistance. Then price jumped over. It came a little bit back. And again, it's now support. And you can see then price is going up from this moment on here. So every time price comes to our blue line, we have really to wait what happens next. If you see such a rejection, you can jump in such a sell trade, for example. And if then the price movement changes, so the here was sell trades, then price clearly jumped over our blue line. So there seems a change of direction. Before we were in a sell mode here. You can see here after it was below our blue dynamic average, we had a clearly sell here in this case. But then when price jumps clearly over the blue dynamic average, moving average, we have a change of direction in this pair. And from this moment on here, we look for buy trades. And again, you can see, for example, here it clearly jumped over here our blue line. Then it was going up. Then we wait for a retracement like here. We could again here draw a trend line, not a nice one in this case. It's a ugly trend line, but still you could do it. And then if the trend line was clearly broken, you get here this nice trade here for over 400 pips in this case on the H4 time frame. Still very good. Here we are on the dollar against the Singapore dollar on the H4 time frame, the dynamic moving average. If I scroll a little bit back, you can see again, really nice one. It was suspected here, price came, bounced here, and then it was going really down here. It still can happen that the moving average will look ugly, the dynamic moving average. This happens if we don't have a clear price direction, if Metagrid can't find any nice dynamic moving average. So if you open the pair and you have the dynamic moving average activated, then you should scroll back and see if this dynamic moving average was really respected the last time price came to it. And you can see clearly we had here the inspection. It was good. It acted as resistance, so you can use this blue dynamic moving average on this time frame. And now we wait when price comes back here, if we get again a rejection for a sell trade, or if price jumps over our blue line, then we wait that we get a clear up movement. Then we wait for the retracement, we make our trend line, and we go into a buy trade. I show you now the H1 time frame on this pair when you should use the dynamic moving average. We go to the H1 time frame, and then you can see this looks really ugly. Still we get here rejections, but you can see the dynamic moving average here is not really respected. So this means Metagrid couldn't find any really good moving average. This is the best one Metagrid found. So, and if this blue line is the best one Metagrid found on this time frame, this is a clear sign to not trade this pair on this time frame at the moment, because it's ugly. Okay, so remember, Metagrid scans for the best moving average setting, and if it does not find a better one as this here, This means stay out of this pair on this time frame. Clear sign, no go, no trade, skip this pair on this time frame. How you want to use the dynamic moving average is of course up to you. There are much different trading methods with the moving averages. Some only want to see if price above or below to decide for which direction to go. Other wait for rejections on these moving averages. There are really different trading methods and systems. You can Google for moving average strategies, and then you can use the dynamic moving average with the Metagrid Trademanager. And I hope you enjoy this unique function for your own trading. Have fun. Goodbye.